Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rules of Engagement. We're going to talk about a Spine-Crawler Rush against Protoss. This is something Hawk used against a very, very well-known and respected Protoss player, Rain, from MLG's MVP tournament. This tournament is actually being rebroadcasted over the Christmas holidays every day at 6 p.m. Eastern, starting either Sunday or Monday. So if you guys are sitting there drinking some eggnog, you're thinking what movie to put on? Well, if it's 6 Eastern, don't put on a movie. Put on some of this MVP rebroadcast. It's going to be free in HD. It's going to be fun. But back to Rules of Engagement. We're going to take a look at this game. It's going to be Spine-Crawler Rush versus Protoss. And a couple things we're going to look at is, one, what is the goal of the build? What's the whole idea of the Spine-Crawler Rush? The next thing we're going to look at is the different potential follow-ups you can do. So, you got those couple Spine Crawlers down. How can you follow it up? And then the last thing is we're going to take a look at how cost-efficient this build is. Is it worth it? How can you tell, and how often should you use this build? So let's get into the game. Let's talk about the first step, which is the whole goal of the push. So we're over here. This is SK Rain, and this is Mr. Hawk. I think he was a former Quantic. Now the Quantic's gone, but during this time he was on Quantic. So the queen, the very first queen that you build, you do the first inject of the main, and then he's going to send it. You send it all the way to the natural, and then all the way up here, and then all the way down through here. So he's queen kind of snuck around. Very first queen you build, inject, send it to their base. Okay, this is with a 14 pool, 16 hatch opening, pretty standard stuff. And then, of course, your second queen is going to just handle the injects over there, and then you're going to get a third queen as well. So you do miss out one inject because your first queen can't get that second inject because it heads over out as soon as it does the first one. So you miss a little bit of larva, but the advantage is all of a sudden you have this queen across the map. The next thing you're going to do is when the queen gets close, make sure you send a drone. In fact, he actually sent a couple drones, so make sure you send a couple drones. Yeah, you need about 2 or 3. However many spawn cores you want to get a couple drones out there. So then he's going to come in here and he's just going to build a hatchery. Oops, we'll take a look at the exact mechanics of this build. It's something that's actually pretty cool and it's not super obvious. So the key thing here is you build a hatchery, right? And then you cancel the hatchery, and you have creep here. And on that creep, what you do is you send a queen, you just plant down some creep timbers. Boom, boom, boom. A couple creep timbers there. Not too bad. He gets a spine core up too. If you can't build the spine core instantly, that's okay. The most important thing is get those creep timbers down, because once they come up, then you can build the spine cores anyway. So a couple seconds later, it can make a difference, but it's not the end of the world. Make sure you get those creep timbers down, because that is what's exceptionally important. So the goal of this build is going to be to kill the Protoss wall, right? And we're saying, okay, well, you're sacrificing this stuff, just killing some buildings. What does that accomplish? Well, the idea is it's going to stall the opponent a lot because you're going to kill a couple key buildings. One, you're going to kill the Cybernetics core before Warp Gate can complete, and that's extremely important that you're going to be able to kill it before Warp Gate completes, because without Warp Gate, basically the Protoss arsenal is much, much, much less intimidating. So you definitely want to nail that before Warp Gate completes. The other thing is that once you kill that Psy-Core, they can't build Sentries and Stalkers anymore. They can only build Zealots, so it slows them down a lot to kill that Cybernetics core. Then they're going to kill one of the gateways, which is kind of nice. It's a little bit annoying to them. And then finally they're going to kill that forge, which means no more cannons. So that's the whole goal of this build, is you kill this wall to see how it's enacted. Taking down the wall without too much of a problem. It's going to just keep cranking at these buildings. And then we're going to talk about, so let's say once you've killed this wall, what's your next step? There's 2 main potential follow-ups, right? Let's fast forward just a little bit more. So right here, this whole time you can see how many cannons they're making. And there's 2 important points. Is one, you kill that Cyclone Gateway, they can't make extra sentries. They might have 1 or 2 out, but they're not going to have very many sentries out. And then 2, you kill the forge, they can't make any more cannons. So whatever they have already building with defense is all they're going to have to work with. So if you see them not adding in more cannons when you're spine core rushing, go ahead and just build a ton of Zerglings. Ton of Zerglings. You can even go for Banelings as well, and you can basically Baneling bust them without a problem, because they won't have many force fields because they lost their Psy-Core. They can't even warp in more sentries, even if they built more gateways and the Psy-Core, even if they rebuilt them. They won't have warp gates, so they can't even warp in reinforcements. And also, they can't build more cannons, so even if your first attack doesn't work, if it almost kills them, your reinforcements are going to be huge, and they're going to have to wait to rebuild that forge before they can rebuild more defenses. So depending on how your opponent plays, you may want to follow this up with an all-in attack. Of course, Rain knew that an all-in is such a common follow-up to this, and you have to get the defenses down immediately, because once you lose those key tech structures in front, you can no longer build those defenses. So he built plenty of cannons, and Hawk decided not to do this follow-up. So the other follow-up potential is the tech. Because the other advantage of the Spinecrawl Rush isn't just you kill the wall, you're also, so the killing the wall stalls them a lot of ways, you're also going to stall them immensely from the creep spread, right? So you keep spreading these creep tumors everywhere, and all of a sudden your opponent's in a situation where they can't take a third base. It's going to take them an extremely long time. They have to get a observer out, then you have to kill the tumors, then you have to wait for the creep to recede. So you're going to stall them for a very, very, very long time with that. You're basically putting them on maybe a 2-base push or a very late third. In those situations, a great response is to kind of tech up. Because they can't even hit a very fast 2-base timing because you killed the warp gate, so you don't even need to worry at all about roaches. I pretty strongly disagree with this roach horn here. It doesn't really make any sense because there's no way Rain can actually launch a massive low-tech ground invasion at Hawk after losing that side core. So you wanted to get a lot of tech up. I would actually recommend Infestors. Infestors will be great because they're great against like a later 2-base timing, like if you go for an Immortal Sentry. You can sacrifice your third, Mass Spine, and Supernatural, and you're going to be in great position with Infestors. If they're going for like a late third, of course, you can just progress to late, and you have so much energy on those Infestors. You're in good shape there as well. So I kind of like the tech up option into Infestors. This game, Hawk chooses. If you fast forward just a little bit more, of course, Voider is going to kill these Spine Crawlers. Still can't quite kill the creep yet. But what Hawk does is he's actually going to tech up to Spire. I don't know how I feel about Spire. You've already seen them getting Voidray Phoenix, but it's not a bad idea. The idea is you tech up because you've got time because your whole opening was designed to stall your opponent, and that's the whole point of it. And as we can see here, maybe even going Spire, he's already 25 food ahead. He's got 3 bases, 60 workers versus 48, so he has an immense lead right now because the 25 food isn't like all roaches, right? If you look at it, it's only about 8 roaches, and he's got good tech. Aspire's on the way. Roach speed's on the way. Range attack, Zergling speed. He's got a ton of queens. He's building 2, and he's already has 3 out. So the build put him in a really, really good position. This is where we're going to look at the cost efficiency of the build. So if we're going to come to terms, let's actually take a look at resources lost here. Bring that resources lost tab up. So the cost efficiency of the build, you want to take a look at those resources lost. And we can see that they lost almost exactly the same amount of resources. And this is after the whole push was cleaned up. Voider killed everything. And the thing there is, though, the Protoss lost resources that he really needed early in the game, right? He needed that Warp Gate tech. That's worth more than 50-50. He wanted that +1 weapon upgrade in the Forge. That's worth more than 100 because of the timing of it. So you may trade equally in resources, but you're slowing the Protoss down a ton. Of course, you're slowing your own economy down a bit. You're taking a later third. You're missing an inject. So it's kind of hard to balance that, but the question is, how much damage did you do to him? I think it was quite a lot. And then how much did it slow the Zerg down? A decent amount. I mean, we can look at the game time there. It's about 11 minutes in. And the Zerg's not where you want to be 11 minutes, but I think relative to what our Protoss is, I think the build's really good. And I would actually recommend you guys trying it out. Trying out different follow-ups and then analyze how far you are ahead, like winning or losing, right? Pause the game basically at the point when that rush has been resolved. And then say, okay, am I in a stronger position or a weaker position? Was this rush cost efficient? And you can do this with all your rushes, all your kind of cute tactical plays, and that's how we analyze them and see if they're gonna, if it was a net gain or net loss, not just based on the win or loss in the game, but in the position you're in after that tactic was executed. So we just saw here, I mean, Rain is a pretty darn good player, but he still kind of fell a little bit behind against his attack. It still worked against him. It's a pretty cool tactic. We're going to take a quick break. Still look at one of my games going Phoenix Colossi against Terran.